Hey, 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 it's Thursday. Baby, do you know what that means?
Thursday. It's the More Than I Do live virtual podcast. Woohoo!
I'm Sherelle.
And I'm Derek.
We've been married for 16 years.
And in business for 9. Woohoo!
Just made 9 years. We've got to change our marketing.
I know, we do. Because I'll still say 8. It feels like it's been 8 for a while.
It has been 8 for a while. But married for 16, in business for now 9 years. September made 9 years. And we decided to come and start the More Than I Do podcast, virtual live podcast, because we talk about being married and in business.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Why? Because we have something to say. Our trials and errors, and nobody is really talking about this. So we want to share our experiences with you, especially if you're in business and married with your spouse.
100%.
100%.
So this has been amazing. If you've been tuning into us and been watching, we're on part 3 of a part 3 series. So we're on the last night of protecting what you built at all costs.
Yes, that is important. I mean, you're building something, you're building a legacy for your family, and so you should protect it at all costs.
Yes. And so we talked about external influences or things that are outside the house or the business that could cause problems or cause what you built to fall. We talked about internal influences, that's things inside the house or inside the business that could cause problems and cause what you built to fall or not grow in the way that you wanted to grow.
Yep.
And so tonight,
part 3,
we're talking about
self-sabotage.
So we talked about external forces, internal forces, and now in internal, we talked about internal could be just the communication between the two of you. But one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we brought to you tonight was self-sabotage, just looking at you as an individual, because before you're married, before you have a business, you are an individual. And we wanted to make sure that we're addressing the individual as well as the unit, as well as all the other things that may play into that as well.
Definitely.
So are you ready for this?
I'm always ready. Let's go.
All right. So when you think about self-sabotage, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
First thing that comes to mind for me is things internal within myself. Things like your mind playing tricks on you and things of that nature. That's what comes in my mind when we talk about
what do you mean by mind playing? Like, I'm gonna be a moderator for a minute. What do you mean by mind playing tricks on you?
Interview me? Yeah, definitely. Just some of the negative thoughts that are in your mind. I think about times that I'm in boardrooms and having to give presentations and how I get nervous sometimes, like, oh, do I even belong here? Of course you belong there. They invited you. They put you on the agenda. They want you to speak. So, yes. And so sometimes in your mind is a very powerful tool, and it may get you thinking, I'm not so sure about it, but you're the expert. So go in there confident and say what you need to say.
Yeah, definitely having the syndrome where you feel like you don't belong or that you are faking it. Because everything may not be 100%, right? And so you feel like you're faking some things that can self-sabotage what you're doing. You know, when I think about self-sabotage, one of the things I think about is when things are going very well and you're moving towards your goal and you're growing. And it's like almost, I don't deserve it. Have you ever had that feeling before?
Yeah, I felt that before, but expound on that.
Okay. Yeah. Are you the moderator now?
Hey,
awesome.
That's how we're doing it.
So, and so in that, what happens is you begin to do things that maybe not consciously, but subconsciously begins to sabotage what's happening. So that could be in relationships, right? That you have a great relationship that's going on, and for whatever reason, it could be write what you said, because I'm not worthy of this. I don't feel like I should be here. Does that person really love me? I'm not, because of past things that have happened in my life. I don't deserve this now because of maybe the way I treated somebody or something that I did. And so you think about that, and then you begin to do actions such as maybe causing arguments for no reason,
You do.
finding fault for no reason, maybe even making yourself just distant.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. As you was talking, I even think about things that I haven't forgave myself for, and I kind of feel guilty about. And if I feel guilty about it, then it's causing me to self-sabotage something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So things that we haven't dealt with within ourselves.
Within yourself.
This has nothing to do with anybody else but you. Is what we're talking about tonight. If you're wondering who we're talking about tonight, we're talking about you. You by yourself, me, myself, and I, right?
That's
and
it.
Taking that internal evaluation of relationships, of the way that we carry on with customers, could very well be self-sabotaging. The way that we do business could very well be self-sabotaging, because things could be growing and going and moving. And the scariest thing, I don't know if you guys know the Marianne Williamson poem that's called Our Deepest Fears. And I'm going to look it up for you really quick. It's called Our Deepest Fears. And I want to look it up because there was a time when this particular poem was one that I always liked, but it was one that became real for me.
Really?
And I don't know if you remember, you probably wasn't listening to me when I told you this, because you probably was like,
I always listen
what
to
you
you.
talking about? What you talking about?
I always listen to you.
It's around the time you told me nobody likes to know it all. It's around that time. That's a whole nother story for another time.
That's a whole other story, yeah.
But it's called Our Deepest Fear. And if you watched, what's the movie with Akilah the Bee? If you watch Coach Carter, the movie that had Coach Carter in it. I don't know movie titled names, but
The Great Debaters was Akilah.
I don't know if that was Akilah or not, but she was Keke Palmer played in the movie, and she went on to be a good spelling bee champ. So she was called Akilah the Bee for being spelling bee. No, I don't think it was The Great Debaters. And then Coach Carter, was the movie Coach Carter?
Was it Coach?
I don't know. But
Samuel
Jackson played.
Yes. It was based on a true story.
Based on a true story, and he kept asking them, "What is your deepest fear? What is your deepest fear?" Throughout the movie.
He did.
Well, and it came back. So towards the end of the movie, the gentleman quoted this poem. Or a version of, there's several versions of it out there, but this one's by Marianne Williamson. And it says that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God. This is within us. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberate others.
Wow. I like that. As you were reading that, it just put me back into the Bible. That God wants us to live abundant kind of lives, but yet so many of us shrink back because of the people we are around sometimes.
Because of how we were raised, what we were told about ourselves, what we did in our lifetime, like our past, where we are today, what we are not, or where we think we should be, and where we are not.
That's right.
And all of those things. But I lived this poem because I remember there was a time that we were going after some things. A lot of our goals were being met. And I think people talk a lot about climbing the mountain to get to whatever the goal is, right? But no one really talks about what happens when it's in reach and when you obtain the goal.
When you get there. That's right.
No one ever talks about that. That may be a good podcast. We got to get some people on for that.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
Nonetheless, it was at a point where we were reaching a lot of the goals that we had in place. It's in business. And I almost paralyzed me because you dream about things and you set goals. And like I said, there's some you obtain, right? But they're like little goals that you obtain along the way. But those big goals, I'm talking about those really big goals that you climb after. In climbing after those goals, we were like, reach out your hand or take 2 steps and it's there. And I remember it was a time when you were like, well, what is happening? What is going on? Because you're not doing anything. And I was just so I was living the poem. I was living being afraid of the light, of my light, and how great I was, how great you were. I don't know why I took on you too, but just because as a business for us, right?
Yeah.
So we're one in that. We're married. We're one,
married
and in business we're in one.
When one is slowing down, it slows the up ones down.
It slows the up one down, and it just got to a point that I was paralyzed for a reason that I couldn't explain, although I could see everything. Have you ever been somewhere where you just need to take 2 or 3 more steps? You just need to go right around the corner. You just need to reach your hand out. But for some reason, you cannot move.
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot in businesses. They work so hard and put in so many different, so many hours.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they get to a certain point and they stop. But the reality is, you take 1 or 2 more steps, your blessings will be fulfilled.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep going. But that road beats you up so badly sometimes that you actually stop. But you cannot stop. You cannot give up. I have this writing that we had in our office until we went virtual, that you walk, you run, or you crawl. Doesn't matter. You just keep moving, because anything that's not moving is dead.
Yeah.
And that can be your dream.
So say that again. Anything that's not moving.
Anything that's not moving is dead.
Wow. Because you stop and then you kind of get weeds and all kinds of things grow up, and it makes it harder to continue to move forward. Yeah. That was something that I wrote in the office, and it came to me. I don't know if Martin Luther King has said this or not, but I've seen it on post too, that he said something very similar. Okay. I'm just saying that, my brain is greatness every once in a while. I'm not putting myself with Martin Luther King. So whoever's listening, don't be like, did she just compare? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying my brain has greatness every once in a while. Yours does.
Let your light shine.
Okay, let my light shine.
Self-sabotage.
That's right. Even I've seen in business, since we're talking about business anyway, I've seen in business where people are doing well and they pick up good habits in their business, such as not swiping in their accounts, for personal things, and being very, very meticulous about what's happening. And as things start growing, they start sabotaging by going back to old habits. That could even be in just personally. Self-sabotaging by all of a sudden things are going great and I decide to turn and go back to old habits that I knew didn't serve me well.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. We see that with clients all the time. They start moving forward where money isn't as tight as it used to be. I can take a bigger salary, and before you know it, they're taking a bigger salary and they're still swiping the card for personal items in the business as well. And so it's almost like double dipping, where you're crippling your business now.
Yeah. Where you were growing before. But even with relationships, even where you self-sabotage your relationships, where you start old habits, things that you said, I'm not going back to that. I'm not going to I'm not going to do those type of things, or whatever it may be. Whatever the habit is that was bad for you, I'm not going to name habits, because what's bad for one person is not bad for the other, right? But whatever that habit, because we're talking about you assessing yourself tonight, whatever that habit was that you find yourself in stressful moments, in moments where success seems to be in reach, in moments where you're unsure of yourself for whatever reason, that you turn back and go to those bad habits, that's self-sabotaging.
It's self-sabotaging because you got up out of that comfortable space, started moving, but decided to get back comfortable.
Yep. 100%. Which happens in marriages.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Happens in marriages.
Yeah, I remember, not too long ago, we always said, don't start anything that you can't keep up.
Oh.
And I got comfortable. I started something.
Yes.
I missed a couple times, and I got comfortable with missing a couple times. And before you know it, there was a wedge, because she's expecting one thing, but you're giving something else.
Yeah. Vice versa. We had that conversation the other night.
Yeah.
Which was funny, right? It was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Yeah.
But it happened kind of subconsciously. It just happened. It wasn't something that was meant. It wasn't something that consciously was happening. It was nothing bad.
No, it's nothing bad. No, and it doesn't always have to be bad, but it's just you tend to go back to comfortable ways.
Yeah.
And once you start stepping out and doing different things, you should continue to step out and do different things. Otherwise, you're going to revert back to what you usually do. And next thing you know, there's trouble or in the midst, because the other party is expecting, well, you're growing, you're doing more. Why are you going back to that old person that you just kind of grew from?
So consistency, or just checking yourself, knowing the trend. So this is where we talk about knowing yourself and being comfortable with getting to know who you are and the things that have happened along the way. We're always talking about, whether it's business or personal, we're always talking about analyzing the past so that you can see trends in the present, and you can change the things that you don't want to continue a trend as you move into the future.
Yeah. That's really important. That self-assessment, guys. I mean, it's real. It's real. If you really do it honestly with yourself, because you can do an exercise and not really be honest with yourself. But if you do it and really be honest with yourself, you will start seeing some of the bad habits that you have or that you do.
Or self-sabotaging habits.
Self-sabotaging habits that you have. And it's real.
It can definitely be real.
It's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know one of mine. I have a bad one.
Oh, okay.
So in the moment, I am very consistent with things. Very, very consistent. But if there is a time frame in between, I get very inconsistent. For instance, and it's one that I've had to put some systems in place in business. So this is a way, if you know that there's some things that you may do that may come up from time to time where you're self-sabotaging, even if it's not intentionally. So we're not just talking about intentional self-sabotage. Most of the things that we're talking about are unintentional self-sabotage that happens, because intentional self-sabotage, you are clearly aware of what you're doing and when you're doing it. For instance, I am bad about emails.
Okay.
I am super, super bad about emails. If it's a day that I'm in and I'm moving and we're having conversations and things are happening, but if there's a time frame in between and then I need to get back to you, I'm so awful about it. And it's for my business, that's self-sabotaging, because that's nobody's fault but mine. But understanding and knowing it, I can put a system or a process in place. So what was my system or process that I put in place? I didn't count on my mind. I then put things on the calendar. Make sure you email or you check on or you follow up with. And it sounds like crazy things that you're putting on, that I'm putting on my calendar. Like, duh, don't you just know, write your list and keep moving. that list, because I move so much.
Yeah.
Even in the house, I move so much but one thing that's always with me is my device that has so an alert, I can get a quick alert just to remind me that day that this needs to happen, or to remind me to do it within this hour. And I usually set it in time where I don't have anything else scheduled, so that way when it comes up, I can do it right then. Yeah. And that's kind of how, not only I know unconsciously, it's not something that I mean to do on purpose, but I am self-sabotaging the business if I'm not getting back to people, or I'm not answering in the way that I need to answer. And so when you understand those things, you put a process or system in place that holds you accountable.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And speaking of emails, it's one of the things that I have to do last on my list to do, because it takes me forever to write an email. Yeah. Not that I can't write it. I reread that email 5, 6, 7 times because
you're self-sabotaging yourself.
I'm self-sabotaging myself, reading it over and over.
Second guessing and third guessing.
Third guessing, making sure that it's going to be interpreted how I intend for it to be.
Yeah.
But how can I control that? I can't even control that because you're going to read it, and depending on what's going on in your life, that's how you're going to interpret 100%, what I say.
100%.
But yet, second guess myself all the time. I do it a lot because, in striving to be perfect, I constantly go back and check and double check and triple check until my mind is like, well, you did something wrong. You have to redo the whole thing.
When nothing is wrong.
That,
because you were meticulous the first time, everything was all right.
Yep.
Even calculations, emails, anything.
Self-sabotaging myself, not trusting me.
Or the experience and expert that you are, which you talked about earlier, is be the expert that you are.
Be the expert that you are. That's right.
I love that. Be the expert. That's a hashtag. Be the expert that you are.
Okay. Write it.
All right. So then, I love it. So emails, I'm trying to think of, is there anything at home that we self-sabotage, or that you see me self-sabotage with? Can you think of anything or that we've done in the past as self-sabotaging? You know what? I have a good one.
Okay, go ahead.
It just hit me like a light bulb.
No, that's dangerous.
Whether it's business or at home or in the marriage, self-sabotage. When you have the conversation in your head and you already come up with a conclusion of what's going to happen in the conversation that needs to happen, whether it's with a client, whether it's with a spouse, whoever it's with, but you already have the conversation and come up with a conclusion, and then you either decide not to communicate at all, or number 2, you're already on defense before you even have the conversation.
She's talking about me, guys.
I didn't say that. Yeah. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying that she's talking about me because I do that all the time. Sometimes I think I should have been a lawyer, because I will have a conversation in my mind and have rebuttals, but I don't think it's because I charge it to wanting to win.
Okay, your competitive spirit.
My competitive spirit
allows you to self-sabotage.
Because I always want to win. And whether it's a conversation or debate, in my mind, it's a competition. I used to do that. I used to do that a lot, guys. And it caused rifts in between us.
Yeah, it definitely
caused rift in between.
I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus or anything.
Hey, I'm honest. I'm an open book here. Hey.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just, and I think sometimes I do it. Like sometimes I won't have a conversation because I feel like I'm trying to protect you. When really I'm self-sabotaging because I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt.
That's right.
And we've had it happen with our clients. Where we're trying to protect the client or trying to do what we feel is best for the client, but we don't give the client the say in it, and it backfires on us. It's kind of like a self-sabotage thing that happened just because of, so you could see the trend. It's not just at home, it's not just at work. That same mentality carries over no matter where you are.
Yeah, it does.
Even with friendships.
Yeah, it does.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I self-sabotage on Sundays, you know. Sundays is my football day, guys. I've talked about that plenty times. I love NFL football. All day Sunday, I'm in front of the TV.
I don't know why you didn't
afternoon.
go be a sportscaster, or hey, somebody need to call him because he knows everything. Everything. Okay, that's a whole nother side note.
But I self-sabotage myself because I'm in the midst of doing something I enjoy. I kind of feel guilty because I'm not spending time with her or paying her any attention.
When I've said I'm leaving, or I'm going upstairs, or I'm going to our movie room or wherever, and leaving you alone because I know that Sunday's his day. Now, ladies, let's just talk about this real quick. Or men, if you have a woman who has NFL, I'm not discriminating here.
Don't discriminate.
But what I'm saying is this: he's home. I don't have to guess and think about where he is. He is comfortable and he is happy. If I love him enough and I know that this is the one thing that he loves, it's a seasonal thing. I understand I come second on Sundays. God first, then football, and then maybe I could squeeze a little time at night, baby. I'm usually going to sleep before football is over. But with that being said, I can give him that day because we both as individuals, we need our own time.
We do, but sometimes I really feel bad about it. Just so you know, sometimes
I know,
really
because
do feel
you'll
bad.
run up to the movie room and Chuck will be like, "What you doing?"
In the middle of the game.
In the middle of the game, and I'm like, "Is the game going on? Why are you here?" Because I'm having my me time.
I'm self-sabotaging my happy time, guys. So that's how easy it is to self-sabotage yourself.
It is.
I say that to make the point how easy it is to really self-sabotage yourself.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody who's out there and you're listening. And if you have any questions, post them. I really want to plug morethanIdo.life really quickly because you can send us questions. If you're a couple that's in business and you want to be on the podcast, you can sign up there and you can get more information there and sign up just to be on our list for more information. But we had a question that came in.
Oh, we did?
And I want to make sure as we're wrapping up that we answer this question because I think it's a really, really good question.
Okay, awesome.
Has having the weekly podcast talking about all of these types of issues that we talk about, how has that helped you individually, or has it helped you in your marriage? So has it helped us individually or in our marriage? Let me just tell you, when you talk about self-sabotaging, I want to go there first. Okay. This guy, usually you guys see a different person here because he doesn't talk a lot. Now, unless he's at home in Eastern North Carolina, then they only know a talking Derek. But most of my friends, if I say Derek said something crazy or out of the way, or they're like, "Stop lying. Derek doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything like that. He's too nice for that. And he's just quiet." But I say that to say, because originally starting the podcast, I didn't know, we talked about it and you told me, yeah, sure. But my mind wasn't sure how you would receive it as we went live and things of that nature. And it's been a joy. We've had a great conversations getting ready for this.
Yep.
Good conversations. And the one thing that I can say about our marriage that I have loved, if I can make this plug, is that despite whatever obstacles that we've had, two things that come to mind. Number one, we have always had open communication. Regardless if I want to hear it or he wants to hear it, we still listen. Or even if we're not listening at the moment, we hear it enough to digest it later.
Yep, that's true.
And number two, we can't sleep. For some reason, if something's going on, neither one of us is going to get any sleep. Like, it's been like that for the whole Forever. 16 years. Forever. From day one. If something's happening, neither one of us, we can try to go to bed. We can act like we're going to bed. We can turn over, but we're both tossing and turning until we have that communication happens. And so for us, this has been great because we talked about a lot of issues that have happened in the past. This is one of the reasons I think why we're able to do this podcast now.
Mhm.
and we're able to bring to you transparently. It's not that we're saying we're perfect, because we're not perfect at all.
Nowhere near.
It's not saying that we know everything.
Nope. Just sharing what I do know.
Just sharing what we do know. So hopefully those pitfalls you don't have to encounter.
Yeah, that's right. We're trying to make your road a little bit smooth because our road was bumpy.
Yes.
Now your road will probably still be somewhat bumpy, but if you can smooth it out, if something we've said can smooth it out a little bit, then that's awesome.
That's it, because
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we know that marriage and business, marriage by itself is work.
Mm-hmm.
And then being in business together, having a business period is working, but being in business with your spouse is even more work.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we're helping to save marriages and helping businesses so that you both grow. Your business can grow and your marriage can grow, and you guys can reach the dreams that you had when you started out down the aisle and when you decided to go into business together.
That's right. And then have the business be what you actually thought the business would be.
100%.
Because a lot of times people start businesses and 10, 20 years go down the road and the business is nothing of what you intended it to be.
100% of that. And with that being said, individually, I've gotten some insight on some things as he talks, and then as a couple, I think that it strengthened us some. But I'm gonna stop talking and let you talk.
No, I agree with you. For me, I've enjoyed it. Originally, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much, but I do feel like some of the things that we do in our marriage and our business can be a help for others. And I do feel like I've been put here on earth to help others.
100%.
And so I think for me, this is, I'm not going to call it a ministry, but it's kind of how I give back to kind of help others that are coming behind me, right?
Or beside us.
Or beside us.
Or in front of us.
Or that's right, because, I think even people who's been married longer than us can still learn something, just like I can learn something from someone who just got married.
Yeah. 100%.
And so for that, I can say I've enjoyed it, and it's made me a better person, made me even better listening, because doing this weekly, it one makes me consistent.
Yeah.
And two, it challenges me to make sure I listen even more.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not a Ken and a Barbie sitting here with perfect, perfect lives. Marriage is marriage. I don't care who you are. If you're married, then marriage is marriage, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, self-sabotage. Are you individually, what are you bringing to the table to your partner?
Mm-hmm.
What are you bringing to the table to your family? What are you bringing to the table to your business, your customers, your staff? What are you bringing to the table personally, internally? What's coming to the table? I think that's what we wanted to get across today.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we did it.
I think we did it too.
I think we did it.
Hey, this has been Derek and Sherelle with the More Than I Do Virtual Live podcast. We want to send a shout out to every .black, because .black
is the new .com. And join us and connect with us, please, on at www.morethanIdo.life.
Yes.
That's how you connect with us through this platform.
We want to hear from you.
Yes, we do.
How do you self-sabotage? What are some of the external influences that you run up against? And what are some of the internal influences that you run up against? We want to hear about it. We want to hear from you, because we don't have all the answers, and we want to know what's going on and what you're doing about it as well.
Yep.
All right. We have enjoyed our time with you. This is another
Thursday
down in the books. All right. It's almost time for kickoff.
Yes, it is.
We will see you next Thursday, same time, 7 p.m. We look forward to that. And you can also go on More Than I Do to subscribe to watch us live within the Zoom feed so that you can ask your questions right in the Zoom feed, because it's what we look at while we're doing this live. We do not look at the Facebook, even though we broadcast there.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
folks, that has been it. We love you much. We'll talk to you soon. And if nobody told you, be careful. We love you. More importantly, God loves you. Take care.
Bye.